Ever wanted to see how an AI model can directly call your Python functions, like fetching weather or running calculations, without complex middleware? We'll wrap two simple functions as dspy tools, then watch the model generate and execute those tool calls step by step, printing the name, arguments, and results for each. The code keeps it straightforward. Define tools, predict which to use, and handle the output.
Import dspy. Class tool signature dspy signature. Signature for manual tool handling. Question SDR equals dspy input field. Tools list dspy.Tool equals dspy input field. Outputs dspy tool calls equals dspy output field. Def weather city SDR. Get weather information for a city. Return F, the weather in city is sunny. Def calculator expression, SDR. Evaluate a mathematical expression. Try. Result equals eval, expression hash note. Use safely in production. Return F, the result is result. Accept. Return, invalid expression. Hash create tool instances. Tools equals weather, dspy.Tool weather. Calculator, dspy.Tool calculator. Hash create predictor. Predictor equals dspy, predict tool signature. Hash make a prediction. Response equals predictor. Question equals what's the weather in New York? Tools equals list tools, values. Hash execute the tool calls. For call in response outputs tool calls. Hash execute the tool call. Result equals call execute. Hash for versions earlier than 304b2. Use. Result tools call name. Printf tool, call name. Printf args, call args. Printf result.
This demonstrates dspy's basic tool execution pattern, where Python functions are wrapped as callable tools and invoked through a direct pipeline. The code defines simple tool functions, wraps them in dspy's tool class, and executes them sequentially based on model predictions. The key characteristic is the straightforward, linear flow from tool definition to execution without intermediate processing. The implementation follows a three-step sequence. Tool functions are created with clear signatures, wrapped as dspy.Tool objects, and then executed in response to a model's output. The predictor generates tool calls based on the input question, and each call is processed in a simple loop that prints the tool name, arguments, and result. This approach maintains a direct mapping between declared tools and their execution, with no additional orchestration or validation logic. This pattern provides a clear, minimal example of tool execution in dspy, useful for understanding the fundamental mechanics before introducing more complex scenarios. The linear execution flow makes it easy to trace how inputs become tool calls and results, serving as a practical starting point for working with tools in dspy. The simplicity comes with trade-offs, as it lacks features like error handling or dynamic tool selection that would be needed in production systems. Let's break it down.
Import dspy.
This imports dspy, the core library used in this example to wrap Python functions as AI-callable tools. The code demonstrates its basic tool system through the tool class for function wrapping and predict for tool selection, both visible in the subsequent implementation.
Class tool signature dspy signature. Signature for manual tool handling. Question SDR equals dspy input field. Tools list dspy.Tool equals dspy input field. Outputs dspy tool calls equals dspy output field.
This defines a dspy signature that declares the input-output structure for tool-based predictions. It specifies three fields: question as the user input, tools as the available tool list, and outputs as the expected tool calls return type. ensuring the predictor generates responses in a format compatible with the hard-coded tool execution loop that follows.
Def weather city, SDR. Get weather information for a city. Return F, the weather in city is sunny.
This defines a simple weather function that returns a static, sunny, response for any city. It serves as a minimal tool implementation for dspy's tool system, with type hints matching the expected signature.
Def calculator expression, SDR. Evaluate a mathematical expression. Try. Result equals eval, expression hash note. Use safely in production. Return F, the result is result. Accept. Return, invalid expression.
This defines a calculator tool that takes a string expression, evaluates it using Python's eval, and returns the result as a formatted string. The try-except block handles evaluation errors by returning a generic invalid expression message, while the comment flags eval as unsafe for production use. The function follows the same string in string out pattern as the weather tool for consistency in this basic example.
Tools equals weather, dspy.Tool weather.
This creates a dictionary entry mapping the string key, weather, to a dspy.Tool wrapper around the weather function. The dspy.Tool constructor converts the plain Python function into a tool object that dspy's predictor can invoke later.
Predictor equals dspy, predict tool signature. Response equals predictor.
This instantiates a dspy predictor using our tool signature, which defines the expected input-output structure for tool-based question answering. The predictor will generate tool call recommendations that will execute in the following loop, where each tool is invoked directly with its provided arguments.
For call and response outputs tool calls. Result equals call execute.
This iterates through each tool call generated by the predictor. For every call and response outputs tool calls, it triggers execution with call execute, running the associated Python function like weather or calculator with the provided arguments. This is a straightforward sequential execution of the tools selected by the predictor. dspy.Tool execution pattern. This code shows how to wrap Python functions as dspy.Tool objects and execute them through a structured tool signature predictor. The weather and calculator functions are statically wrapped as tools, then passed to the predictor, which generates tool calls that must be executed in sequence. Each tool call's result is printed after execution, demonstrating the basic flow of question to tool to result.
The signature that describes nothing invokes everything.